Welcome to the Talent Development Hot Seat. I'm your host, Andy Storch, and I'm excited that you're joining me today for another great episode and conversation to help you up your game and improve your capabilities in the world of talent development. Today, we are talking about building a learning culture in your organization, as well as using technology to enable talent development without losing focus on the human side of things. We'll get into some of the AI and technology that we can be leveraging, but also wanting to make sure that we focus on the human side. My guest today is Artem Ivanenko, who is a global learning and talent development leader with 20 years of international experience dedicated to making people the key driver of organizational success and fostering talent growth. He has a proven track record across diverse geographies and cultures, including Asia, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and the Americas, working with renowned companies such as Revolut, Farfetch, Uber, Apple, and Microsoft. Currently, Artem is the head of global learning at Indrive, and Artem leads a global team to deliver impactful learning solutions that enhance employee growth and organizational development. He thrives in human-centric organizations, enjoys creative problem solving, and excels at combining strategic thinking with execution skills to build impactful learning strategies and programs. Artem, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sandy. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you here. You and I got connected when we were both asked to speak and be on a panel at the HR World Summit in Lisbon a few weeks back, and we had a prep call. We kind of hit it off and ended up having dinner with a group the night
Yeah, it was a
before
pretty good
the
dinner. Yeah.
event. And I've been really impressed with a lot of the things that you've accomplished. We had a panel discussion there that I thought was really insightful, and I was eager to share some of those insights with our listeners on this podcast. You also have interesting experience moving and working in different countries, as well as working in an organization that's highly kind of dispersed, right, with people all over the world.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to get into that, but I always love to start with a little bit of background. How did you get into the talent development space, the HR space to begin with?
Yeah, sure. So it happens like with many people in the profession by accident, or almost by accident.
Yeah.
So it was about 20 years ago, and I've started my career teaching in the university, and so I was completed my PhD in philosophy, and my first full-time serious job was was a professor of philosophy,
Hmm.
teaching different students of different years. And I've been doing it for a few years, but I really loved it. Really loved working with young people, and the topic itself is still a very well. I'm quite invested in this topic still. But after a few years working in academia, it felt like it became a little bit repetitive and not as challenging as I would like it to be.
Hmm.
And then the opportunity came up in my hometown, and I come from really like a medium-sized city in the middle of almost in the middle of nowhere in Russia, and there was this tech company there, a fintech company. Although at that time I don't think we used the term fintech,
Yeah.
but basically it was a company that developed software for banking industry. And, it was very unusual because in a small town like ours, it wasn't usual to have a company which had international clients, but this company did have international clients, predominantly in developing markets, and they were trying to establish a training function, so a client-facing training function, so that they can train their clients on how to use software, but not only that, but also how to build business processes, mainly in the banks, etc. So, and this is how I ended up moving towards the corporate side of learning, and gradually build my portfolio. And this is where I started, right? So with software training, and then gradually moving into more people-related topics in talent development.
Okay. And then you later moved and got involved with more global companies from outside of Russia. How did that come about?
Yeah, exactly. It was around 15 years ago. I moved from Russia to Singapore. I was doing my MBA degree there, and there was an opportunity to join Microsoft first as an intern, supporting HR business partner for the region, for Asia Pacific, and we were focusing quite a bit on change management initiatives. For example, at that time was 2010, 2011. Microsoft was introducing a new performance management system, And it involved a lot of change management and not necessarily talent development purely, but more like how do you prepare people for this change? How do you train them? And yes, I got this exciting opportunity where I had to work in partnership with HRBP and some external speakers on putting together a training program very much focused on kind of practical application of this new performance framework and walking managers through different case studies and doing role plays. So yeah, it was quite mind-blowing. So I think that was a huge boost for me in terms of my own professional development, but also because this program was successful, it opened a lot of doors for me personally. So later, whilst doing my final semester in the MBA program, I joined Microsoft full-time. And I worked with Asia Pacific region with Microsoft Learning Organization.
Okay.
And then it took off from there.
Yeah. And tell us about the organization that you work in today, which I know is a global organization with people in lots of different places, just to give context for our discussion.
Yeah, sure. My company, the company that I work for is Indrive. I joined Indrive last year. So I've been in the company for about 16, 17 months. It's a scale up. So we have around 3,000 employees across the globe. We're present in 48 countries in terms of our business. Again, a lot of these countries are in emerging developing markets. We have headquarters in Cyprus, in Kazakhstan, and big offices in other places across the world, like Mexico, Malaysia, Brazil, etc. And we grew a lot in the last few years. And because it's a scale up, 16 months in another company would probably be, I'm still a newbie, but here I'm already a veteran.
Right.
And our company is predominantly in ride-hailing business, but we also have other verticals like delivery, intercity rides, etc. And we'll also have, we're very active, and our founder and CEO, it comes from him, his vision. We're very active in social and community projects. Like, for example, we have a film festival that we run. We support schools. We have IT programs for kids, etc. So we have a big portfolio of what we call impact programs, which try to positively influence societies around us.
Okay. And tell me about this idea of building a learning culture. I know this is something that so many people are thinking about, that are working on, that are trying to do. What does that mean to you, and how have you approached creating a learning organization there, a learning culture?
Yeah, it's always been a very popular topic, and it had its ups and downs, but I think it's still very relevant today. And I don't think anyone cracked the code on building a learning culture. And I was also constantly thinking is it important? But my answer is that it is very important for organizations, especially if in constantly changing conditions and business environments and external pressures. If organizations want to not only survive but really thrive and develop, so learning culture is one of the core elements of that. I don't think I couldn't say that, for example, in our company, learning culture is very mature. We're working on building it. And to me, there are several indicators or several aspects that are important, or rather several indicators that tell us that there is an established learning culture in the organization. Maybe I can just briefly mention them.
Sure.
So one of those indicators is that there is a culture of experimentation, right? So if organizations they're not afraid to experiment, to take smart, calculated risks, and to learn if something goes wrong, to learn from those mistakes. So I think that's a big indicator for me that there is a learning culture in place. And for example, in our company, one of our values is we either win or learn. So I was really happy when I joined the company. I was really happy to see that it's it's formulated like that, right? Because for me, it's signals that our management team is invested in learning and development, and we call ourselves developers actually in the company, and that's a kind of part of what the company is about. So yeah, that's culture of experimentation and learning is one of those things that like an important part of the learning culture. Then involvement of senior leadership teams, and not just involvement in terms of being like a voice, but really participating, driving learning initiatives, participating in workshops, co-facilitating some learning interventions and programs, just really nominating people and actively promoting learning and development. That's another important signal for me that the learning culture either already exists or we're in the process of establishing it.
Yeah.
There are a few others, but that would be probably my top two.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. And I love obviously, I'm a big fan of growth mindset. I love the idea of either you win or you learn, and everything's a learning opportunity. This encourages people to try new things, obviously can create more innovation. How do you see the balance of encouraging people to learn? Do you have formal programs that you put in place? Do you also provide other opportunities, encourage people to do learning on their own? What does that mix look like?
Yeah, well, we do both. We do have formal programs in place. And to me, learning and talent development teams should be the main advocates and the main role models of experimentation. So what I mean is, experimentation starts with us, with talent development, well, with other teams in the company as well. But like I said, if we want to promote and develop the culture of learning, we should be not afraid to experiment. And that's why, for us, we do have more like established programs, but we also run lots of small experiments. We're experimenting with new technologies, experimenting with new approaches, experimenting with new ways to involve people in the learning process. Usually these experiments are quite, framed. So they are, let's say, we take a team of 20, 30 people and we run a new experiment with them. Like try, for example, AI coaching with one team, try another approach with a different team. And then, so experiments is a great way to learn what's working, what's not working, obviously. Oh. And this is how we're trying to be role models, but also learn from experiments so that we can deliver even better solutions for the organization. And back to your question, we have a mix of programs, right? So we have programs that we built in-house, which are foundational programs. We support these programs with these smaller experiments where we're trying out new approaches. We also work with some external companies as well.
Okay. I know you're big on also using technology to enable talent development without really losing focus on the human side of things. How do you think about leveraging technology, encouraging people to use technology more, while also not getting too far onto that side and relying on technology?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm quite curious about new technologies, and of course nowadays it's just mind-blowing all the options that you have in terms of different platforms, tools, etc. So it can be honestly quite overwhelming. So I think you also need to be very mindful about what technologies you use or choose to use and how you use them. And striking the balance. It's just if you purely rely on technology, it won't work. Just one example, and an example of experiment that we ran, and that was a big learning for us. Last year, we tried a couple of different AI coaching programs or AI coaching tools without necessarily a human touch. What I mean is we invited a group of managers to participate in this, in this pilot, in this experiment. We gave them access to AI coach who prepared a short instruction and shared this instruction with them. And then we kind of we're assuming that they will be excited and they will start using it. And it was the context for this was our performance review. Last year, we implemented performance review process for the first time. So we were equipping a selected group of managers with this AI coach so that they can practice having performance review conversations. For a lot of them was for the first time, having difficult conversations, delivering difficult feedback, discussing with employees if they don't agree with performance review results, etc. So it's quite a nice tool with a very rich functionality. And so we ended up with very low engagements, right? So there was no, we thought it will be scalable and people will just use it. Managers will use it because it's a great tool. But it didn't happen, right? So we had like only a few managers using it for 5 minutes and that's it. So it kind of failed in this sense, right? But I think that tells me a lot about this necessity of combining human focus with technology, right? So what would I do differently next time? Probably would still use this tool, right? But I also will introduce some kind of community social learning, maybe just, let managers practice with the tool, then get together and discuss what was surprising to them, what worked well, what didn't. It's like some simple interventions, facilitated discussions that bring this community social aspect into the learning process. And also, I think it will drive better engagement.
Yeah.
So it's just, a small example where if you purely bet on technology, without human involvement and human focus, it doesn't bring the results that you would expect.
Right. Okay. So it's good to think about how we can leverage technology more to be experimenting and exploring, but we also need to think about the human element and what will make things stick, the human psychology of things. Will people want to use this? And
Exactly.
how can we introduce a human aspect so they're still connecting with other humans, which we generally want to do. It's sort of ingrained in us psychologically.
Yeah, exactly. And especially nowadays where a lot of people are working remotely. For example, I'm fully remote, right? So I'm based in Portugal and I see my team like once or twice a year, not very often. And it becomes even more important for sure.
So many companies now are talking about moving to more of a skills-based framework or, developing the skills of the future. You recently spoke at the HR World Summit where we met about closing skills gaps. I wonder what you see as the biggest skills gaps facing organizations today.
Yeah, sure. I was looking at maybe last week. I was looking at one of the latest reports from Gartner about top talent development trends, and I was surprised and not surprised to see that a lot of HR professionals, they rate soft skills. And for example, soft skills and, for example, human-focused leadership. And I don't remember exactly what other skills were there, but basically, there are skills that we can call soft skills as one of the top gaps. And then technology-related skills. I think it was mainly focused on leaders and managers, right? But I think we can also extrapolate it to other roles and functions as well. So it were kind of at the bottom of the skills gap, right? So, and to me, again, it sounds like it paints this picture where technology is developing so rapidly, and it provides us with so many opportunities for scalability, for efficiency, that companies like just jump into like double down on new tech, and we're kind of forgetting that human involvement enables effective use of this technology, and this is where the skill gap materializes, right? So that we bet so much on technology that we forget that empathy and asking the right questions and like the art of listening, the art of providing feedback. So
Right.
they're all very important, but we start to forget about them.
Yeah.
So this is I was quite like I said, surprised, but also reassured that the more technology develops, the more we need to pay attention to, let's call them soft skills.
Right? Those human skills, they become more and more
important.
Yeah. Soft skills, power skills, human skills. I wonder if you could share any examples from the work you're doing at Indrive and how you're approaching skills development and really future-proofing the organization.
Yeah, so I think we're quite at the start of the journey. So, for example, at the moment we don't have a skills taxonomy, and in some previous companies where I've worked, it was really well developed. So we had skills integrated into our performance review cycle, integrated in our HR system, like integrated everywhere. And I saw, for example, at Revolut, digital bank, was a very very advanced skills taxonomy and the process around that. Right now we're kind of just building skills taxonomy here at Indrive. We didn't even make a decision yet whether, well, like we're talking about skills, but we're not utilizing the full power yet. So it's a bit early to say, right? So I'm trying to. I'm having several conversations with different levels of leadership and within the HR team as well as across the company to promote, because I am a big believer in skills, because I think skills are kind of very effective entity, right? So very it's like an item of that you can build on, right? So I think it's
they're foundational. Like you can really build on.
And like you can mix and match skills, and it really tells you. It kind of goes to the core of the job that people are doing, right? So then, so it's like building Lego building blocks. So I'm a big believer in skills because I think that's a very useful and pretty straightforward tool to use, but we're just at the start of the journey here.
How do you? A lot of organizations are moving towards more of this skills-based organization, if you will, and thinking about, okay, you've got to identify what skills you have and then what skills are needed in the future. How do you think about identifying what the most important skills will be for an organization in the future?
Yeah. So definitely not an easy problem to solve, right? So but also very important. In order to identify what skills will be important in the future, I think it needs to be in relation to what the business strategy is for the future and how business sees itself developing into the future. But for example, nature in our company, because of a scale up, that things change every 3 months, every quarter, right? Every 6 months, a lot of changes all the time. And then the industry itself, for example, ride-hailing industry and in general technology industry, and specifically ride-hailing industry, so changing all the time. So it's very difficult to forecast, how the business will. Well, we hope it will grow, right? So we hope that we will win our competitors, etc. But it's very difficult to predict, right? So I think we can just paint kind of approximate path of a business strategy into next year, and then look at what knowledge and skills we will need to support this business strategy. For example, if we're doubling down on, let's say, AI tools in our product, that means we need to have like engineers in place we need to have, for example, more machine learning engineers right in our company. So that means we either need to train existing employee base, existing engineers to become more versed in machine learning techniques and methodologies, or we need to hire more. I'm always advocating for close link between business strategy and skills strategy, but sometimes this link is quite difficult to establish because business strategy is you don't have a long-term business strategy because of the nature of the business.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a long-winded answer saying that again, just confirming but it's not an easy problem to solve.
It's not easy, yeah. What role do you think AI and emerging technologies should play in these skills development programs and like evaluating and developing skills of the future?
Yeah. So I think AI can be a great co-pilot or partner for discovery, for analysis and discovery of what skills will be required in the future. Because we can deploy AI to collect a lot of different data points for our job descriptions, from job descriptions, open roles, for example, on the markets, and from key performance indicators in the company, from key business metrics, kind of pulling it all together, analyzing it, and pinpointing where there are potentially gaps in the skills. So I think as a partner in analysis and discovery it can be, and it is a very powerful tool, right? So that's, I think for me, one of the most, from talent development perspective, one of the most effective use cases of AI is in this discovery process.
Yeah. How do you, as you're putting together these skill-based programs, you're looking at technologies to use, how do you think about aligning skills initiatives with broader business objectives and strategy to make sure everything's aligned?
Yeah. It's if you don't do that as a talent development professional, then probably there is a high probability that you will fail, right? So that for me, it's one of the key criteria for a successful program to make sure that the skills-based initiative is aligned with what business needs. And like business usually doesn't think in terms of skills, right? So they think in terms of what metrics our organization needs to achieve. It's, in our case, in our company case, how many more users should we bring into the platform? How many more drivers should we bring into the platform? How our rights should grow, right, etc. So, but yeah, it's all, it won't be easy or even possible to reach this business metrics, to reach this business objectives if you don't have people in place with the right skill set to achieve them. And maybe like negotiation skills, for example, sales skills, technology, etc. So yeah, to me, it's very important to have this conversation with business, to think in business terms, but then also to wear your talent development hat and use your expertise to understand like what are the skills exactly that will help to enable these business objectives and help business to achieve the outcomes they want to achieve.
Okay. And so for people in talent development who may be just getting started with doing more skills development, building out of a more skills-based organization, what advice would you give for people just starting out with that who want to build more of a skills-based organization or start to develop toward the skills of the future?
Yeah, I think the first step is just first of all to take stock of what skills you already have in the organization, right? And doesn't necessarily need to be like super scientific, but just by having, well, first of all, like looking at key business metrics, looking at key people metrics, such as retention, such as, you might have also like engagement surveys that companies run, such as performance metrics. You can already understand quite a bit, right? So, and just taking a stock of what you already have in the organization by looking at the data, but also by talking to key stakeholders, key business stakeholders. So that will be already a good basis for you to understand what you have, what is important, what you don't have in terms of skills. Again, it doesn't need to be 100% accurate, but that would be a good start.
And I'm also curious, one of the areas that I'm most passionate about in talent development is career development and helping people take ownership of their careers so that they can grow. I know you have a large organization with people working lots of different places. What's been your approach to career development? How do you help people think about where they're going and what opportunities exist for them in the company?
Yeah. So yeah, we're quite invested in making sure that we have conducive environments for career development. For example, last year we launched a career consulting program, and out of all of our talent development, learning and talent development tools, that is probably the most in-demand one. So it's like super popular. Also, it's one of the most popular tools, but also one of the most impactful ones, right? So we really have like a very positive feedback from employees about career consulting program, and very high satisfaction scores. So basically perfect satisfaction scores. So the thing that we don't do is we don't really track yet, how, like what impact it has in terms of, promotions, so changing the roles, internal mobility, etc. But I think it's already a good start. So we certified a group of career consultants, in-house career consultants in the company, and we build a process where employees can apply for career consulting through. So we build like bots that help them to choose the right consultant, and with bots also, it's through Slack bots. It also helps consultants to manage their consulting schedule, etc. And it's a first step, but I think it's a very important step, and it creates a lot of credibility for talent development function, because people see that, like, first of all, company is paying attention, helping to develop careers, and there are specific tools that help them to do just that.
Yeah, makes sense. So as we wrap things up here, Artem, we've covered a lot of really great topics in this realm of creating a learning-based organization, skills-based organization, identifying skills of the future. You talked about talent development, career development. I'm just curious, as you look forward and you're looking at the landscape, and you're in a pretty high-tech type organization, looking ahead to the next few years, what skills do you think will be the most critical for organizational success?
Okay, yeah, I'm a bit apprehensive to sound like a broken clock, right? Or
Yeah.
no, broken
Record?
sorry, white clock. Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
record. Why broken clock? Yeah, a bit apprehensive, a bit worried that I will sound like a broken record. But again, I doubling down, and I think these human skills will be becoming more and more important. It's like I'll use this analogy in the age of mass production, right? So when we have like factories producing consumer goods, right? So be it clothing or electronics or etc., right? So I think the artisans are becoming like very exclusive, and in very high demand, and they can charge premium for what they produce, although it takes longer. It's maybe not as polished as a mass-produced good, but it has this value because it's something unique, and it has this raw energy, right? So, and to me, human skills are like these artisans, right? So in the age of mass production, artisans and craftsmen becoming something unique. The same for human skills in the age of these technological advances and digital disruption and age of AI. So human skills are like these artisans, right? So are these craftsmen, and to me, they will not lose their importance. Maybe maybe it's my bias because I'm in a people-driven profession, right? But I really hope that. Actually, I really believe that it will be the case.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm biased as well,
Okay,
and optimistic,
perfect.
I know, but I think as technology does more and more, we need those technological skills to take advantage of the AI and the technology, but human skills become more and more valuable because humans still value that human connection. It's how we still get business done, and being able to interact with and build relationships and influence others and lead others just becomes more and more critical when the AI does everything else.
Yeah, exactly, and also critical thinking and problem solving, right? Because I think there is a temptation to like fully rely on the answers that technology gives us, that AI gives us, but it's not always right, right? It can be not right from content perspective, but it can be maybe like from some, moral perspective either, right? And this, critical thinking and problem solving to challenge the answers that technology gives us, to challenge the solutions that technology gives us, and really understand whether they are aligned with what our vision is what we want to achieve. So I think besides, of course, human connection, this critical thinking and problem solving skills will continue growing in importance.
Absolutely agree. Artem, this has been great. I really appreciate you making time to come on the show. Always enjoy chatting with you. I think this gives people a lot of
Likewise.
things to think about when it comes to building out that learning organization, that skills-based organization, and developing those human skills for the future. So thanks again for coming on, and I look forward to talking with you more in the future.
Thanks a lot, Andy. It was great. Thanks.